to my channel. I am Michele Mazelleغ, and I know that you see that the YouTube studio is a little different. The background is a little different. I'm in the process of moving stuff around, particularly my YouTube studio, because I just didn't like the way where I was. I didn't feel like I was able to be comfortable on the camera, in front of the camera. So I bought me a chair. It's a lot more comfortable sitting in this chair. I'm going to get me a little end table so that you can see my canvas wall art. I'm going to get me an artificial flower because I can't take care of real ones to make it a little bit more inviting for me, so that I can feel a little bit more comfortable in front of the camera. You might not have cared to hear any of that, but I decided to share anyway, just in case you were curious. So today I'm going to be talking about this tension between Black immigrants and Black Americans. Now, I know this is an issue that is nothing new. It has been an issue for a very long time. Of course, social media does heighten all of that. The reason why I'm talking about this is because I've gotten a lot of comments on my YouTube channel, just basically just letting me know, where black immigrants should fit into anything when it comes to any type of conversation, and basically they should fit nowhere. They don't want to talk about Black immigrants. They don't want anything positive to be said about them. They don't want anything positive to say about the African continent. And basically they are telling me, I am constantly calling out Black Americans for what they're doing and not doing the same for Black immigrants, or for people from the African continent, or what have you. So before I moved overseas, I used to live in Georgia. And Georgia, of course, it's a lot of Black people running around there, okay? It's the South. You go to a lot of places in the South, you do see a lot of Black people. You do see a lot of Black immigrants in Georgia as well. And because I'm married to a Ghanaian, a lot of times we would go to the African shops, that's what we call them, the African shops, to get food that you couldn't get anywhere else. And a lot of those shops that the Black immigrants were, owned, were shops literally for their own peoples, because they weren't able to get that food anywhere else. So it's not like they were trying to set up shop in Black neighborhoods or Black communities where they're trying to take businesses from Black people or anything like that. They literally just were trying to create businesses so that they could support the people in those communities that are Black immigrants that are not able to find food and resources and things like that in other places. But this is what the kicker is. You got people in the Black community that are worried about Black immigrants coming into the Black communities, when you literally have Asian immigrants in the Black communities setting up shops in the Black communities and basically taking money from Black people, and that money is not going back to the Black community, it's going to the Asian community. Beauty supply shops are deep, knee deep in Black communities everywhere you go, and it ain't Black people owning them. They're Asian immigrants that are owning those shops. And Black people are all up in those shops buying the weaves and the wigs and nails and whatever else they buy, and they don't say anything about Asian immigrants in these neighborhoods. They're more concerned about Black immigrants, which of course is the white supremacist mindset, as far as these are our enemies. The black immigrants are our enemies, not these other immigrants who are literally stealing money from the communities and giving to their own communities, and you continue to shop there. In a town where I live, there is literally a huge beauty supply mart that literally takes up quite a bit of a block. Like, it is pretty huge. And I used to shop there all the time because there was no other beauty supply place to shop at that was owned by that was owned by anybody but Asians. And I'm talking about, it is large. Like, it has whatever kind of hair you want, whatever you need to do hair. I mean, it's in that shop. About a couple or so years ago, so a little bit more than a couple of years ago, it was on the news that someone was going to actually purchase a business that was black owned. It was a black owned business, a beauty supply store. And it's further down than the Asian beauty supply store. Further down, which means I'd have to drive a little further. But when I go back home, I do not no longer go to that store that is owned by Asians. I go to the store that's owned by black people, because that I know is going back to the black community. Most black people won't even do that. They won't even go to their own and support their own, but then they're sitting over here worrying about black immigrants when you're not even worried about your own people. Like, that I don't understand. Like, you worrying about black immigrants who are no threat to your community whatsoever. None whatsoever. They are trying to work. Most of them are trying to send money back home. They trying to make ends meet like you trying to make ends meet. They ain't trying to take any jobs from you. They just trying to work like everybody else is working. And you worried about them, but not worrying about the Asian immigrants and Asian people who are literally in your neighborhoods selling something for you that they know you're going to buy, and that's where you buy. And most of the time when there is a black owned hair shop that's selling the same products, most black people don't even shop there. But they don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about that. Where I live, there is what we call a cross town, where majority of the black people lived. My mother and father grew up there, and it was a predominantly black area. It's not anymore, and it ain't black immigrants that is running rampant in that neighborhood. It's Hispanic immigrants. Where you go to the park, you go to the swimming pool, it's Hispanic immigrants where you see literally who has taken over the entire black community. Don't even know that it was a black part of town. So when I hear people constantly talking about black immigrants, I'm just like, well, who's the biggest threat? Black immigrants or other immigrants? Because they're the ones that's literally, the other immigrants are the ones that are literally setting up shop in the black communities and are creating the black community to be literally null and void. It is not black immigrants. Now, what I don't understand is when you know that there's people that look like you, whether or not they're black immigrants, whether or not we're black Americans, the commonality that we do have is that we're black. Okay, we might have, we have different nationalities, different ethnicities or whatever, but we still black when it comes to skin tone. That should be the commonality. That should be the glue that holds us together. Hispanics always talk about, Asians always talk about, Indians always talk about, and I'm going to show you a video in a minute, and I have to kind of, take some of it out because it was some cursing. But I want you to hear what this man said on TikTok, and this is exactly where I'm going with this video.
Asian countries, they love their Asian people. Asia likes their Asian people here. I don't know if they like them all, but they have a connection. Africa and African Americans ain't connected. They're not connected. Like, there's a lot of division.
What he's saying is absolutely right. When Asian immigrants come to the United States of America and they are Asian American or whatever, hey, you're Asian. What are we going to do to build our community? Hispanics, hey, yes, I'm Hispanic American. What are we going to do to build up our country? To build up our communities. We are the only people that don't do that, and we can't continue to say that it's the diaspora the reason why we no longer have that connection. Like, we know we all have different stories. We know we all have different experiences. We know that we're not monolith, but we definitely should have one goal in mind, and that is to further our people. That should be our common goal. That should be what keeps us together. And unfortunately, because we're too busy looking at the point that we are different, we can't see how powerful and stronger we would be if we see black immigrants coming over and we say, okay, hey, what can we do? How can we work together? And black Americans always say, oh well, the black immigrants, they think they better than we are. They don't want to acknowledge that we made a way for them. And it's just like, how many are actually saying that? The ones that you met, or we're talking about everybody as a whole? And I think as black people and as black immigrants, we need to stop taking these isolated situations where you've met one person. You might have met two people that were ignorant to reality, that was ignorant to fact, And you need to start looking at people as a whole and say, as a whole, what does the whole think? What does the whole believe? Because when you look at it that way, we might be surprised that as a whole, we might all be thinking the same way, instead of just looking at 2 or 3 people who are, wanting to go by the wayside versus, everybody else kind of saying, hey, you know what, this is right. We should be on the same page when it comes to certain things. We definitely should be on the page of furthering each other as much as we can, because like it's always said, when black immigrants come to the United States of America, there's not really oh, well, you're Jamaican, oh, you're Haitian, oh, you are Ghanaian, oh, you're Nigerian. I mean, when you come to the United States of America, you are a black person. And so, that's something that's the commonality there that should get us to the point where we're no longer seeing each other as enemies. We should be seeing as far as how are we able to help each other. Since we're here, how are we able to help each other? How can I help you? How can you help me? So that we can further each other in this world that clearly sees black people at the bottom of the totem pole. It's really, really sad that a powerful group of people like we are, as black people are, that we are still so divided, that we are still kind of, lashing out at each other due to the white supremacist mindset. Something that we really need to get rid of. We need to abolish it from our minds. We really need to start over so that we can start teaching the next generation, hey, this is where it should be. This is where we should start. So it's really up to us to start educating each other, because we definitely can't wait for anybody else to do it, so that we no longer have that white supremacist mindset. We need to start having the mindset of what the guy in the other TikTok video says, of helping each other in these small situations, so that we can kind of move each other forward. All right, that is all I have to say in today's video. I am Michele Mazelleغ. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.